Hello, hello, folks. We got a severe weather alert in my area, so maybe we'll lose power later. But for days, because of high winds. But maybe it'll make this worth it. It'll be a real good writing session. It'll make up for the ones I might miss. Too bad I don't have a typewriter till No, because then I'd have to transcribe it all to here. Now, let's do some character stuff for the bad guys. The Jade Vampire needs more character stuff. I want him to be more fleshed out as a character. He's kind of been distant in the story so far, appearing in spurts, almost like some Dark Lord. But he's not a Dark Lord. A Dark Lord doesn't have to have much characterization, because they're usually just the embodiment of evil, you know? I'm sorry. Like blurted out before he knew what he was saying. Without thinking. That calmed the Jade Vampire. But he still continued to march right up to Ligo, standing within an inch of his face. Nice. He was really like the vampire of myth that would get close for a nice bite. That would get close. That would grab the maiden, pull back her hair, bite her throat. Ligo was suddenly found himself more scared of the vampire, the Jade Vampire, than any of the women of the escaped prisoners below. In that moment, he would have rather been their captive than the Jade Vampires. Not that he was the captive. He was the man in charge here. Ligo assumed his men, his guards wouldn't just stand by and let the Jade Vampire thrash him, or whatever he wanted to do. Imagine doing to him over that insult. The Jade Vampire's features calmed. He took a step back and took a deep breath. I shouldn't overreact like this, the Jade Vampire admitted. My doctors say I get too stressed emotionally. It brings up my blood pressure. If we lose power, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Fucking electric companies in New York gotta get their shit together. It's not like we live in Florida where there's a hurricane every other week. Or some terrible flood or some other disaster. Jesus Christ. My family members need to exercise. They need to go on the treadmill. They're not gonna be able to do any exercise with the damn weather like this. Stupid fucking weather. This is New York weather, not Florida. Take the bad weather down to Florida or somewhere else, please. Thank you. Let's see. What's my blood pressure? Yeah. Ligo replied. We're all a bit stressed. Us with the burden of high command. It's a wonder more of us don't die of heart attacks. Ligo could only think of a few high-ranking officers who suffered heart attacks. It's a Jade Vampire General. I'll have to check. He's probably not. In my stories, it's usually not the general. The guy who's a general who's the main bad guy. It's usually the civilian, or more civilian of them. I mean, if you're a member of the Nazi Party, they had all kinds of weird paramilitary ranks, even with the totally political branch of their government. So, you know, all those uniforms. The party people, they kind of wore uniforms like Hitler did, but lower ranked, naturally. They still had peaked caps and all kinds of great coats and fancy medals and stuff. It was a very... the whole of Germany, pretty much everybody was obsessed with uniforms. Which is funny, because today I think you'd have to pay... You couldn't pay a German to wear a uniform, because they've become so anti-military, anti-paramilitary. I guess that's, you know, that's a good thing, but when Germany gets invaded, we don't want them to get conquered by anybody, like, and have all that good German industry be run by whoever is going to start World War III. At the moment, I bet on Putin, though I don't think it would be much of a world war. He probably wouldn't get through to Ukraine or Poland before someone would he'd get stopped either by nukes or by a conventional army. Here I am rambling again. It must be the coffee. I shouldn't say this on a video, because someone might take my ideas and make their own book. Of course, you know, two writers could get the same idea, completely same idea, write totally different novels from each other. Imagine if you just took some random guy and gave him the plot to Resident Evil and tell him to write a book. He'd probably write something completely different from the game. Or Dracula. Yeah. Give someone else the plot to Dracula and not the details, and probably write the craziest novel you've ever seen. It's like my arrival in this town. Of course, if you read Dracula already, you know, that's gonna influence you whenever you write a vampire story. That's just the way it is. Looks like you arrived in town. So and those men didn't die of their wounds, injuries. They weren't very active at the moment. Probably just sitting at home. Getting out of breath from just walking across a room. Not a pleasant fate, but there were worse ones in this world. It's practically the arc words of my stories. Not a good thing, but you know, there's always worse. Like a little nervous chuckle after dying of heart attacks. And the Jade Vampire grinned as though to join in, but said nothing. It's gonna be an epic climax against the Jade Vampire, though, folks. At least he'll have that. He'll have a awesome send-off. Though I did have to cut something from it because it wouldn't make sense in this universe. Jade Vampire patted Lionel on the shoulder. You are a paranoid young man. General Rin. I'm almost talking like Dracula. You are a very paranoid young man, General Rin. Or something like that. I don't really know what a true Romanian accent sounds like, because Bela Lugosi was flippin' Hungarian. And they border each other. They're not the same country, though. Far from it. It's like saying Greece and Romania are the same country, just because they border each other. Or America and Mexico are the same country because they border each other. Yeah, let's see. You're a paranoid young man, General Wynn. The Jade Vampire almost purred. But it is understandable, considering the army. It doesn't even make sense for him to use a European accent, because he's not European. He's from a fictional continent in Asia. I'm not sure what accent I'd give them. I guess that's something to worry about if there's ever, like, a movie version or something. Not that I think there ever will be. Hollywood's too busy making remakes to worry about making anything new. And banking on nostalgia, which is the only thing that can get the bucks anymore, apparently. Seems to be the same with the video game industry. All the stuff I liked is being remade. I wouldn't mind it so much, except that I had hoped to be the one to remake it, because, you know, I love those old games. The 90s were a bit of a wasteland when it came to popular culture, but it wasn't the case with video games. That was the golden era of video games, in my view. Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Medieval. It's Medieval spelled with an E-V-I-L. And some other stuff that I can't think of off the top of my head from right now. I get Tomb Raider 3 vibes from the latest book I'm writing for some reason, not this one. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm involving stuff about ancient artifacts and people turning into monsters and stuff. But that's understandable considering the army. Considering this army where people backstab each other. And there are few, and there is little trust between high-ranking officers. Everyone looking for expanding their power, getting a higher post. It all goes back to the warlord era. War, naturally. Yes. Like all agreed, simply. The Jade Nation couldn't afford to go back to that bloody way of climbing to the top. The Empire's enemies would be able to easily gang up and destroy them. Another civil war among the Jade would finish them for sure, would doom them, and the Empire. Yeah, well, that's what you get when you declare war on the whole world, right? It's like Hitler to Nazis. What, they really expected to win the war against the entire planet, going against them pretty much. People argue they lost the war even before it started because, you know, Britain controlled all the resources on the Earth. All the oil and rubber stuff that the German army needed to build their army, they couldn't get it from anyone else. Definitely Romania. Let's see. Should I trust you, sir? Lego asked. Jade Vampire. More than most. The Jade Vampire replied quickly and without anger. I am more trustworthy. Oh great, the rain's coming down. We're supposed to get rain and snow today, on top of the hellish winds. 75 mile per hour gusts. Hopefully we won't get smashed, right? If the roof comes off, I guess I'll just if the roof of the house comes off from the wind, I guess I'll just put my head between my legs and kiss my butt goodbye. Let's see. I am more trustworthy than most. Just a second. But these telemarketers, they have a lot of nerve calling during the middle of a crisis. How come nobody sued those fuckers yet? I mean, you think some old lady, if she slipped in the bathroom ringing the phone, she would have sued them. I mean, what the hell, right? Why the hell should people get away with making what amounts to crank calls? Because no one ever is gonna agree to what these telemarketers want them to do. I've hung up on the same Blue Cross Blue Shield bullshit like 100 times this year. Or some guy who says he wants me to buy something. Like, you want to buy this commemorative plate or some bullshit. More trustworthy than most. You are valuable to me, so I won't betray you. But what about when I'm no longer valuable? Wagner thought and almost said. Would he then be discarded like some soiled napkin into a dustbin? Not pin. What's a dust pin? It actually sounds like something from the Old West, but I don't think it's not a real thing. Probably put down the list of things that aren't real. Oh, the wind is starting to pick up. Maybe those weathermen were right. Oh boy. Already them pine trees look like they're gonna fall over. I'm glad I don't have one in my backyard. Well, let's see. Then he would be discarded like some soiled napkin in a dustbin. Like always, sir, a man like Jade Vampire discarded plenty of people. Like, people in his time. And he would, in his days of throwing people away like garbage, were probably far from over. I don't think I'll lose power instantly on this computer if there's something, because I think I have a battery on this. Let's see. LIGO got back to the ongoing crisis, which was demanded his attention. The Jade Vampire didn't say why he had come, but he was now acting as an observer. There wasn't much to observe in that security room. Just a lot of men, a lot of officers under LIGO running around. LIGO was getting reports over the radio of engagements on the ground floor between his men and the prisoners. A bunch of fresh reinforcements had arrived. Those men who put on armor suits were squeezing the enemy from the rear without fear. Squeezing the enemy from the rear fearlessly. I almost said without fear, but I didn't want that to rhyme. Our comrades sacrificed themselves, stalling the enemy outside the entrance to the armor room. The ranking armor suit noted over the radio. So we will avenge them by claiming as many prisoners as possible. Go wild, LIGO replied. It was then that he got a message from Major Azio Mech. I actually didn't know what rank she was going to have until this moment. I just realized, oh, well, I couldn't make her a colonel because this guy was a colonel a short time ago, so... Well, it makes sense that his subordinate was a colonel, you know. It goes lieutenant, captain, major, colonel, then the general ranks. For some reason, just calling someone general, that is the highest rank, I believe, in most armies. At least in the American one. And the American army is my guide to most of this stuff, including fictional armies and real armies. Though this is all fictional armies, so they're like real countries, but they're all fictional. So you know, I can make up what I want. Okay, folks, it's 20 minutes in. Hopefully, the storm will not destroy me. Have a nice day. Good luck to you. And if I am slain by the storm, carry on the torch for me, please. Even after the world ends, I want people still writing novels.